So today's story is about two chefs that spent the bulk of their careers training in fine dining. You know, 3-star New York Times, 4-star New York Times, Michelin-starred restaurants. And then when the time came out to do their own thing, they decided to do something more casual, more approachable, but they weren't going to give up the idea of delicious. So 2 restaurants. Take Bleeker on Bleeker Street. It's about smoke, it's about really great ingredients, it's delicious. And the Spaniard, which is PJ Kalapa, he was with Michael White for years. Guy's unbelievable. I had a patty melt here like the second week he opened. I've been dreaming about it ever since. A patty melt. That's right, so stay tuned. The Spaniard, Pig Bleeker, delicious, accessible, affordable, casual, fun, great bar programs. What are you waiting for?
I'm Mike Colameco, industry insider. Been in the business my whole life, and I know what it takes to succeed. Each week we'll take you into real kitchens, filmed in real time. Backstage passes to a day in the life of chefs, restaurateurs, and their teams. The competition's fierce. Careers, life savings, and reputations hang in the balance. These are my people, and this is their passion. And that's what's next on Mike Colameco's Real Food.
Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.
So this is, before you even cook it, sorry people.
That funk.
Oh yes. All right, patty melt. Let's start with
Patty melt.
All right.
Right. So first we need to do is sear the beef off. This is the one burger on the menu that we do take a temperature on. So we recommend medium rare.
Yeah, get it medium rare. Get it
Right.
medium rare. That's what I had mine, medium rare.
So we start off by searing off the patty.
What's the weight of that? 6?
6.
I love that smell. That's just dry aged goodness, man. The question is, how did you guys come together? Answer that for me first.
I moved to New York 9-10 years ago, I think, and I took over running a little bar in the East Village called Bua.
Same ownership.
Same ownership, and PJ was a regular at Bua. I think literally my very first night in there, we met and we got talking about food and drink and everything.
Imagine.
Flipper. And then I was a regular there a couple years before even Mikey got to town. But I had met his cousins, Mark and Simon.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, our cousin's moving over, you gotta meet him, you guys will get on really well. And it was, you know.
And Mark and Simon, so we did a piece on Wilfie and Nell. I just remember that place was like, they got it, like right off the bat. It was like a really fun bar program, like these guys were great barkeepers. But then they had this other element. I don't remember the kitchen. It wasn't much of a kitchen as I recall, but the food was like killer, like great sandwiches and pickles and cheese. And so it kind of inspired me to do this thing. Here, you guys have just like turned it on its ear. So what was the concept?
Because of our relationship from years ago and seeing Bua into Wilfie and Al and sort of this kind of the beginning or the inception of Gastropub, Mikey and I always talked about how do we take that to the next level. Right. Obviously, I come from a fine dining background. Right. And him and I would speak and we say, look, we can cook anything you want, right? We don't need to reinvent anything. We just need to take these classics. We take a lot of inspiration from places in New York, being Keen's and PJ Clark's and places like that, Corner Bistro. And how do we take all of that and make it into this bar that is like where we want to be every night?
So La Freda, big dry aging room.
Yep.
And as they trim their meat for people, they end up all that funky dry aged trim.
Trim, only the meat, not the fat. And so they decided to use that in blends. Pullman, right? This is from Rollo Mio in Queens. We start with a generous slather of butter.
Like the same way we would do grilled cheese.
Exactly. The idea of it is really low and slow. Everything on the inside is cooked, and we just kind of want to bring everything up and melt the cheese. 3 strips of bacon. These are McClure's, our favorite. And then that goes back onto the griddle. We use these trusty weights.
That's how it does it. It's like old diner style, man.
That's right.
That perfect color. Oh yeah.
Beautiful coloring.
Oh yeah.
That beautiful toast on that.
Oh man.
This is that tomato jam. It's about a 10-hour cook on that. Fresh tomatoes, garlic, ginger, sugar, salt.
And there's some heat in there too.
Right, a little chili. And then the unveiling.
Da-dun, da-dun. Oh baby.
That's the ride.
The mathematics of pleasure per dollar per bite quotient ratio. This is it, right now for the moment. This is my best bang for the buck deal in New York City. I'm gonna shut up and eat it. We filmed you when you were in the kitchen of Tostada.
Right.
You were with Michael White for 6 or 7 years at
6
Alta Maria?
years, yeah.
I mean, that's 7, 8 years of, I don't want to say tweezers, but it's 3-star, Michelin dining.
Right.
And then you come here and you're sort of looking at this sort of common man's food.
Right.
But then elevating it.
For sure. And it sort of taking our spin on it, but just using really quality ingredients and using quality prep, no different than we would in sort of a Michelin star restaurant, but in a more comfortable setting.
So we have a chorizo roll on a buttered brioche bun, dressed arugula with lemon vinaigrette, paquillo relish, and some plancha chorizo on top.
So it's kind of like a play on an upscale hot dog?
A fancy hot dog.
Basically, can I say that without offending
Yeah.
anyone?
Not offending anybody.
What kind of oysters?
Watch Hill from Connecticut. We want that like high salt to kind of counterbalance everything that's going on. We'll start by putting these oysters back in the shell. It's got that deep cup. It gives us the ability to put a fair amount of the topping on with it still being nice, bright, plump oyster. We take our spinach mix.
What else is in there?
It's a secret.
I was going to say it's a secret recipe, but it includes.
No, so it is. It's kind of a play on cream spinach that gets spiked with bacon, sweat onions, roasted garlic, hot sauce, Worcestershire, just kind of all these beautiful earthy flavors, right?
Gotcha.
And then we take these toasted panko that we spike with a little bit of Parmesan.
Ah,
And that's kind of the
little cheesy
the
element.
classic flavoring of a Rockefeller, I guess, is that spinach, bacon, Parmesan. And then that's it. That kind of goes in the oven.
What was the origin of oyster Rockefeller? Because that's like an early last century dish. They
Yeah,
come out
New
of, like,
Orleans.
New
I feel like
Orleans?
Commander's Palace.
Okay.
Like same as the Sazerac. I've always loved the dish, and I've never had a version that I really love. I love the idea of it. I'm also like a raw oyster buff.
Me too, more
And
so
I
than
feel like,
cooked.
I feel like most of the time you get oyster Rockefeller, the oysters end up being kind of gone. You know?
Yeah, because of all the other stuff that's in there competing.
And so this is our interpretation where it's literally like a cooked topping on top of it, where the oyster down below is just warm. So you still get that like plumpness and that brininess from a good East Coast oyster. But then you get all these other like super earthy flavors from the spinach and the bacon and the Parmesan, and so we're having fun with it. Smell that. That smells like the first kitchen I ever worked in.
Super simple, super delicious.
Classic, super fresh oysters, local, and then finish it with a little grilled lemon.
And I'm loving that bechamel still gets its day in kitchens. I
Right?
think it's such a great sauce.
Yeah.
Like such a versatile
How
mother
many
sauce.
kids these days don't know how to make a roux?
Don't get it started on that stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember we had those.
Fried Brussels sprouts, seasoned with toasted mustard seeds, chives, and sherry vinaigrette.
So tartare, classic, far food, delicious. What cut of meat you using?
Ribeye. We're doing classic flavoring Frenchy style, so shallot, cornichon mustard.
Okay, that's always there.
And then we put in a little bit of my like Italian heritage, and we go Parmesan and olive oil as well. The idea too behind us grinding it to order is that we have the ability to fold everything together really gently.
Right, don't overmix this.
Exactly.
Right.
This is where we get a little bit fancy.
I think you need to do more dishes with spherification here. And you're leaving it fluffy here, Chef. You're not
Super.
packing it down.
Definitely not.
You almost have air worked into it.
We want that like really beautiful, gentle texture. And then we have these
At the end, finish
fresh
it with.
chives, like as many as will fit in there. Right on the plate. The coolest, I think, part of this dish are these beautiful crackers that we make in-house. These are brown bread crackers, tons of nuts and seeds, and then we finish it with a little bit of raisins.
Looks like dinner.
That's the dish.
That's beautiful. The name.
The name always causes a bit of argument. The name basically comes from two of our favourite bars, myself, Mark, and the other partners back in Ireland. There's one in Belfast called the Spaniard, and there's one in Cork in Kinsale called the Spaniard. We all just love those bars and that name, and we felt that New York and America needs a bar called the Spaniard. We checked, there isn't a bar called the Spaniard in America. We just felt it was a great name for a bar that if someone said to you, do you want to go for a pint in the Spaniard? The answer is always, yeah, I don't know why, but you want to go for a pint in the Spaniard.
It's either a great name or a terrible one. I'm not sure. If you Google it and there's no other bar by that name, I'm like, maybe there's a reason.
We did have one person very disappointed on like our second day that we weren't, they live like around here somewhere, that we weren't a tapas
where's
restaurant.
the paella?
They wanted that, and they were like, we were really hoping this was a great tapas restaurant. They had the patty melt, I believe, and they were fine after.
Yeah.
These are our buffalo duck wings, confit and then fried duck wings, tossed in a buffalo sauce made of Valentina, shaved celery, crumbled blue cheese, served with ranch dressing.
So the next one is a cocktail called the Santiago. It's kind of like a tequila Manhattan variation, with a little bit extra going on. So what we do is we take some orange bitters first, add some Pedro Jimenez sherry that kind of like acts as the sweet vermouth. It's like very raisiny. And we take the Cimarron Reposado. It's a whiskey bar, so we definitely want to do like whiskey style drinks even when we're not doing, using whiskey.
So with all of the Irish contingents, it's a stupid question, but talk about the whiskey focus.
So the whiskey focus, again, little nod to Keen's. We always just love the back bar, the whiskey selection.
Yeah.
There's just something about whiskey that's just greater than, say, just the regular gins and rums and vodkas. They're just so interesting. And we didn't think that people would respond to it the way they have, but it's without doubt, like the Japanese whiskeys are selling, we're selling out and we can't even keep up with demand. Same with some of these Scotch whiskeys. I thought we'd have bottles gathering dust for months. They're not. We're going through them at a weekly rate. So it's great to see that the customer is actually responding to it and wanting to try these kind of new, interesting whiskeys.
So this is the Espadine that we've
The
really fancy,
mezcal.
yeah, Del Maguey, Single Village.
A little oil there.
Little oil on top, orange peel. And
Love
here's
it,
the
man.
Santiago for you.
Bingo, thank you, thank
Cheers,
you.
yeah.
Right, to the Spaniard.
To the Spaniard.
I'm still wondering about the name, but we'll see. Apparently it hasn't stopped the crowds from coming in.
Season up that skin.
Cooked 90% skin side down.
Well, 99%.
Right,
We do
right.
a little flip at the end. Again, too, a lot of the menu was created because we knew we had some small space. There were a lot of things that could come off of this griddle.
Right, and fast cooks.
Exactly.
And so people at home know this. The cook time on that trout, you're looking like 3 minutes.
Yeah. So then we'll go back and we'll make the base. We start with a little frisee, just for some bitterness. We toss in these pumpernickel croutons. We toast these just in a little bit of butter and thyme. Capers. Really
Got some
want
acids.
Yeah, acid, salinity,
Right.
little pop, tons of almonds. I love that like nuttiness that it gives you, and we toast them nice and hard. As you can tell, these are really beautiful toasted almonds. And then just a little bit of picked parsley. And the vinaigrette is as simple as can be: fresh lemon juice, a little bit of salt, and then a little bit of brown butter that we keep up top so it stays nice and tempered.
So it's like a play on Meunier as well.
Exactly. Kind of
Almondine.
all those
Right.
things kind of coming together. Starting to see that whiter color. We're almost there.
And that salad's getting a little bit of touch from the warmth.
We do that on purpose.
So you're not serving hot food on cold salad.
Right, and you get the brown butter, as soon as it hits those greens, it starts to set up. So we just want to kind of keep it melted. It is still staying nice and fresh and a lot of texture in there. We can go ahead and plate our base. I always tell the guys dig from the bottom because that's where all the good stuff is.
Hell
The
yeah.
capers and the almonds and the just this kind of Frenchy panzanella.
Yep.
I'm very happy with that cook. We're gonna do a little,
10 seconds on the other side.
just a kiss.
Yep.
And then right on top, just kind of, it ends up being this beautiful warm trout salad. That's it.
Perfect, chef.
To me, bars are becoming like the new neighborhood restaurants. So people, when they come to a bar, expect that level of food. What we've always wanted to do was elevate it yet again to what people expect when they come to a bar, so they can come here and still feel like it's kind of restaurant quality, which I believe it is, if not better.
Hell yeah.
And then they just stay and hopefully have a great time all night, you know. whiskeys, cocktails, wine. We wanted to try and get everything right, so you can come here, it's just like, you're gonna have a great time.
Right now you have 7 places you're running?
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, for a couple of Irish immigrants that come in that are tending a bar with a dream in their head.
We really enjoy doing this. I feel like they're all very genuine places. Like, we're not trying to pretend to be anything. I feel like they're just very genuine what we are, and I feel like every place I've opened is like the place I want to be at that stage in my life.
Well, the place I want to be
It suits
tonight
you
for
too?
dinner. So yeah,
Okay.
you nailed it. Thanks for
Good, no problem.
continued
Always a
success,
pleasure,
and
Mike. Thank you.
Thanks for doing this in the neighborhood.
You brought us look at Will Fionel, so hopefully
I think you
we'll
did
be
it.
here in 10 more years.
You did it yourself. Thank you, man.
Cheers, guys.
Can't ever go wrong with some ginger ale and grenadine. We do a toast every night, talk about the specials, talk about the service, talk about the VIPs, and do a good toast. Blood of the pig, boys.
Blood of the pig. So right now we have our chicken wings in here smoking. Pork shoulders right here. These take about 12 hours to smoke.
Leg, drummy, have the whole bird. Smoked and fried chicken. Brine first, then smoked with our poultry seasoning. Then again, cool down and soaked one last time in that buttermilk hot sauce brine. A little bit more of that dredge. So when we dunk it in the fryer, it's really, really well coated. So Anson Mills grits down from Carolina, where the Anson Mills is from. We cook them for about 3 hours, just water, grits, a little bit of salt, and then we finish them with some shredded Gruyere cheese, or a spoonful of some Boursin cheese. So we're just gonna melt all that together. I love grits with lots of cheese, lots of butter, you know, all the stuff you're not supposed to eat.
So you're open how long?
We open up January 17th, so what are we in now, June?
New York Times has come and gone.
They
Really
have.
good review. I
Yep,
loved it.
We had a great review, great write-up. We
He was
didn't get the amount of stars we wanted, but it read like the amount of stars we wanted, so we were really happy.
I always say it's how the review reads.
Exactly.
Not so, because
Yeah.
the moment the star things, only geeks like us worry
Yep,
about that
that's
kind of
right.
crap.
We transfer them to a cast iron pot. Oh yeah. Finish the top of them with a little bit of just chopped parsley. And last but not least, we're gonna drizzle some wildflower honey, because grits and honey just kind of go hand in hand. We serve our fried chicken with a Vermont maple syrup, a little more of that wildflower honey, a house-made hot sauce, a little bit of that Alabama white barbecue sauce, a little bit of that award-winning mustard barbecue sauce. We make a house-whipped honey butter, because any fried chicken and waffles, you gotta have a nice honey butter to go with the fried chicken and waffles. We top that with a little smoked Malden salt, and then this sidecar, we get this really, really incredible special stuff. It's Pappy & Company bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup. It's the same people that make, if you're a bourbon lover out there, the same people make Pappy Van Winkle and Rip Van Winkle bourbon. No better maple syrup to serve with a waffle than this Pappy bourbon barrel-aged stuff. It's really, really special.
You were at Del Posto for a lot of your career, so
for 8.5 years.
And
yeah.
another star in the Times, one of the half a dozen 4-star restaurants. Incredible stuff. So your background was fine dining too. Talk about that leap. Coming here, it's like a bar with like a barbecue themed thing. Talk about that, like how this thing came together.
Sure.
And
well, for the majority of your career as a young cook, as a young chef graduating from culinary school, many of us have the ambition of being the best chef of our time, of being the next Mauro Batali, being the next Emeril Lagasse. And how do you get there and how do you do that? You know, I was a chef's cuisine of the restaurant I was at in Boston for 4.5 years, left that position to be a $9 an hour line cook at Del Posto, and then eventually worked my way up to junior sous chef, executive sous chef, and then chef de cuisine within 4 years. And then I was a CDC for 4 years before I just kind of got to a point where I plateaued and kind of, you know, fine dining is absolutely something that's magical and special, a special occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, or something of that nature. To really celebrate a place like Del Posto is really special and epic, but it's not the everyday restaurant for most. So now we're just working on all of our Muse tickets. Everyone that comes to the restaurant, they get a little house-made cornbread Madeleine cookie with that house-whipped honey butter that we top off with our homemade smoked Malden salt. So we make this house-made chili butter with lots of garlic, lots of lemon. We top it on these local oysters. I always like to keep things a little bit local if I can. And we just throw them in the broiler to melt the spicy garlic butter, and then we finish them with a breadcrumb Parmesan topping and put them back in to get that nice crispy crust. Going with our broiled oysters, spicy chili garlic butter. Table 6. This is our house-made candied bacon. We take applewood smoked bacon, then we finish it with brown sugar and smoked pecans. So it just makes like this candied, sweet, crunchy, salty bacon. Yeah, these are a deviled steak and egg, so it's a play on deviled eggs. It's steak tartare that's mixed with black truffle vinaigrette. And then we top it back on with our deviled egg mix. We finish it with an Aleppo pepper, a little of our smoked sea salt on top, really good Sicilian extra virgin olive oil, and just again a little bit of parsley for color. Bacon and eggs, what a way to start out a snack, you know? Second course, 2 fish, 1 fish sauce on the side and a ravioli. This is our wedge salad, where we use little gem lettuces, cross between a baby iceberg and romaine lettuce. And we top it with that Alabama white sauce, again, where that blue cheese, ranch dressing kind of thing would go. Some smoked crumbled blue cheese, smoked bacon, radishes, shallots, and a little bit of celery hearts. Fire another lollipop going with bacon.
So you're a foodie, obviously.
I'm a total foodie.
Balthazar customer.
Financial industry, you know, entertained all the time. And I became friends with Matt Batali and Joe Bastianich. And then I've been a partner in Del Posto since it began. I'm a partner in Carbone, I'm a partner in Santina. And I kind of became friends with all these guys. And then Matt and I kind of, through Del Posto, did a barbecue trip to Austin. And then we started competing together.
And 3 years ago, we got second place in whole hog and first place in poultry, and we're like, holy smokes, we're onto something.
You know, so I took a little, hey Mario, can I take Matt out of the Del Posto? That was a very awkward conversation, but he knew Matt and I were competing and we were doing really well, and the opportunity presented itself in Gowanus. And I was like, yeah, I think we should give this a go.
It was like 3 summers ago, just for the summer.
Just summer,
Yeah, I
and we
remember.
only had the food.
Right.
Which is it was kind of like, this is cool, but I was seeing how much money the bar was making.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need the whole space.
Right.
So once we got the whole space is when I could convince Matt, like, this is your time. We got to do this.
And it's right on the Gowanus Canal, which, you know, isn't as smelly as many people think.
Oh, this is a nice beach there.
Nice, yeah, we're
During
Brooklyn,
high tide, you can swim
waterfront property.
comfortably.
We're on the Brooklyn
yeah.
Riviera,
Yeah.
my pal. You know,
Yeah,
it's
schools of dolphins frolicking about.
Incredible. We get red wattle pork from Heritage Farms, brine them overnight in that same brine, that salt water, sugar, thyme, black peppercorn, bay leaf. Then we season it with our signature all-purpose barbecue seasoning, get a nice char on it, and then what we really love to do is we'll take it right off the grill, we're gonna carve it off the bone, and then next step, after it's all nice and sliced, we're just gonna mop it, really aggressively mop it with this house-made peach habanero jam on the meat and on the bone. Right up into the salamander, get all that jam nice and tacky and caramelized. While that's working, we have a little asparagus. Just gonna mark off nice and toasty on the grill. Take that bone, put it on the plate. We're gonna slide off this delicious glazed peach habanero jam, red wattle, heritage pork chop. We have our grilled asparagus, again, just simply done with some salt and pepper thrown on the grill. And we're gonna finish the dish with something that I absolutely love. We do these crispy onion rings in the same style that we do our fried chicken. Onions sliced in buttermilk and hot sauce, dredge, and our chicken dredge that we do for the fried chicken.
That's amazing.
If Italian food is my first love of cooking, barbecue is my second. For me, it's really interesting because it still takes that sort of heart and soul of Italian cuisine and culture, which is about friends, family, and loved ones coming together and having a meal. Barbecue is still very much the same thing. It's a low and slow, long process where when it's finished, it's just this legendary accomplishment of I sustained it, I went through it, I made it happen, and now there's just this feast where you can have your friends and families over to enjoy it.
So this is a 48-ounce dry aged ribeye, tomahawk steak. And we'll smoke these for about 40 minutes. We'll finish it on the grill. This is our steak for 4 or 2 to 4 people. And these sell a lot.
Beautiful steak, Willie. This is our wet rubbed, smoked and grilled tomahawk chop, finished with a house-made Montreal seasoning, smoked Malden salt. We serve it with a Peter Luger style steak sauce, if you will. You can see that nice smoke ring on the outside where that curing effect almost happens, that pink hue. One of the best steaks in the city.
Since we're kind of more like a barbecue restaurant with smoke, it goes really well with bourbon and mezcal. So the Deacon Blues, it's a take.
It's a Steely Dan song.
Exactly. I originally wanted to make this drink with scotch, but the scotch was overpowering the bourbon, so I switched to mezcal. But I just love the line of the song where it says, drink scotch whiskey all night long and die behind the wheel.
Steely Dan.
I just love Steely Dan.
I play Steely Dan every week on vinyl at home.
So this is just a riff on an old fashioned. So it starts with Angostura bitters, which is just a classic bitters for an old fashioned, and then a base of overproof bourbon.
Do you do this for every ice cube? Is this like your chip bespoke ice program?
I used to work in classic cocktails for years and years and years, and then I switched over here because I heard about the program and I met the owners and I met Chef Matt, and he was the nicest person I've ever met in my life.
Where were you doing cocktails before?
I worked for a gentleman named Sash Petrosky.
Yeah, the guy.
And then I was most recently at Dear Irving and Rain's Law Room, and then left there to come here.
What just happened there?
So this is what just happened. We added our bitters, We have a little bit of black pepper and vanilla syrup. So it's sweet and spicy at the same time. Then we have a small amount of agave de Cortez mezcal, and then we finish it with Old Forester 100 proof bourbon because everything is better when it's overproof. It's a smoky, spicy, old-fashioned variation.
Boozy.
Boozy, it goes down really easily, and it pairs really well with all the food here.
Man, that gets your attention.
Yeah, you don't often see mezcal and bourbon together.
No, they play well on this one.
If there was a dish on our menu that really sort of represents my barbecue life and my fine dining Italian life, this is it. Just water, truffle butter, add a little bit of salt. We've taken that barbecue theme of brisket, put it into a ravioli. Oh yeah. Now it's time to go to the plate. When we finish, we make this red wine Barolo jelly. In the Italian cooking, there's a saying, if it grows together, it goes together. And this dish really represents kind of northern Italy with truffles and Barolo. But we have that fancy Piedmonte region of Italy with that low and slow love of barbecue with the ravioli and the filling. It's our brisket ravioli.
Sounds like a signature dish to me.
Thank you, sir.
That's pretty ridiculous. I mean, smoked brisket in a ravioli and robed in black truffle butter with a drizzle of this reduction. This is stupid. That's one great plate of pasta. That speaks to this restaurant.
Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.